Hello everyone. Let me tell you about Kiara. Now this isn't going to be one of those videos where I talk about test scores, GPA calculators or the perfect extracurricular checklist. You've heard all that before. This is different. This is about a girl who had a secret. A secret she was absolutely convinced would keep her out of every top university she dreamed about. She thought her story was too ordinary. Her dreams unrealistic. Her academics not perfect enough. Her goals too vague. She looked at the other applicants and saw giants. She looked at herself and saw small. But here's what actually happened. 6 months later, she wasn't just getting into a college, she was holding several acceptance letters, including from 3 top universities. And I want you to hear this clearly. It was not because we changed her resume. It was not because we invented impressive awards or padded her activity list. We changed her mind. Today, I'm walking you through the exact 3-phase framework that turned her anxiety into acceptance. This is the See, Believe, Build framework, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works step by step. So let me introduce you to Kiara properly. On paper, she looked like the perfect candidate. Good grades, volunteer work. She played a sport. If you just glanced at her application, you would think this girl has it together. But when we had our first conversation, she was terrified. I mean, literally shaking on the Zoom call. Her voice was trembling. She said to me, I have a 3.8 GPA. The kids I am competing with have 4s. I'm not a national champion. I have never published a book. Forget publishing a book. I have never written an article for a blog. Why would any top school ever pick me? She genuinely believed she did not have enough, and her flaws were walls she could never climb over. And here's the thing. Kiara actually had a beautiful story, a really beautiful one. She had helped her family navigate a difficult move to a country. She became the translator, the advocate, the bridge between her parents and a world that felt foreign and overwhelming. She even helped other families and seniors in her community navigate similar struggles. But to Kiara, that wasn't academic enough. She saw it as just life. I did it. Nothing extraordinary. It's not a strength. Her anxiety was paralyzing, and she was stuck in this endless loop of I am not enough. And because she could not see her own value, she could not articulate it to anyone else. And this was our first hurdle, the C phase. It was dead in the water because she was completely blind to her own power. And here's the truth. Kiara actually did not need a better resume. She needed a mirror. She needed someone to reflect back to her what was already there, but she couldn't see. And this is where the real work began. We stopped talking about colleges, about Ivy Leagues, stopped building a university list, stopped discussing her engagements, her activities, stopped talking about scores, stopped talking about difference between a 3.8 and a 4, completely stopped that discussion. And for the first 3 weeks, we just talked about her life. I asked her questions such as, tell me about moments when you felt most alive. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me about a time you solved a problem that no one else could solve. Tell me what makes you happy. Tell me what bothers you. And that's when she told me the story. Her mom got sick, really sick. And Kiara, at just 15, had to navigate the entire Spanish healthcare system. Her parents' English wasn't strong enough, and their understanding of Spanish was basic to handle the complexity. So she did it. She stepped up. She made the insurance calls. She scheduled the appointments. She spoke with the doctor. She translated the medical jargon into words her mom could actually understand. She followed through the treatment and she made sure her mother recovered. When she told me this, she shrugged and said it was just something I had to do. But I stopped her right there. To her, it was just helping out. To me, that was resilience, resourcefulness, maturity beyond her years. That was a 15-year-old taking on adult responsibilities and handling them with grace under pressure. We reframed everything. We stopped seeing her as just a helper and started seeing her as a problem solver and a bridge builder. It wasn't that she was good at talking, it was that she was an effective communicator who could distill complex information under pressure. And once she saw that, once she realized her life wasn't just a series of chores, but a series of leadership experiences, something shifted. She sat up straighter. She started taking notes. She looked at me and said, "Wait, really? I actually have a story worth telling, don't I?" And that was the breakthrough. Seeing your story is step one, but believing it, the most critical aspect of this process, that's step two. And honestly, this is the hardest part of the entire process, the believer phase. Kiara now knew she had interesting experiences, but the deep seated belief that was she actually worthy of a top 10 university, that was still missing. Every time we drafted an essay, that old voice would creep back in. This is too simple. Why would anyone care about this? It's not impressive enough. I haven't done something special. No one would really want to read this. And we hit a wall about 3 weeks in. She sent me a draft of her personal statement, and it was well written, safe, hollow. It read like she was trying to be a perfect robot instead of a real human being. Remember, universities want real human experiences. Your growth from those experiences, your learnings from those experiences. They are not interested in robots. And so I asked her a tough question. I looked at her and said, "Kiara, if you get rejected from every school tomorrow, what would you regret not saying in your application?" She went quiet. The silence lasted, and then she broke down crying. When she settled, she said, "I would regret not telling them how scared I was. How scared I was moving here, how scared I was on the first day of school, and how scared I was if I would make friends. And how I then decided that being scared does not mean I can't be brave." And that was it. That was the heart of her story. The story was not about her mom's illness or the move. It was about her transformation from fear to bravery. It was not about being a perfect daughter. It was about being courageous. We rewrote the essay from that place of vulnerability. And the moment she clicked send on that draft, she looked at me with this expression I will never forget in my life. She said, "Really? I actually like that. That's who I am." And that was the moment she started believing she belonged. And once the belief was there, everything else was easy. The action became easy. The activities became easy. The story became easy. The application, the essay, everything became clear and easy. So now we had the content and we had the confidence. It was time for the build phase. And this is where we take that raw emotional truth, work upon it, and present it to the admission officers such that they simply cannot ignore. Remember, they want to see the human behind the application. So for Kiara, it wasn't enough to just say that she was a bridge builder. We had to show it. We had to present evidences for it. So we built a spike in her application. Honestly, I don't believe in making students well-rounded generalists. I don't think that works. I believe in making them sharp. One clear, powerful, undeniable narrative. So we took her love for communication and her experience in healthcare and wove it into a single thread that ran through her entire application. Her essays, we used the fear to bravery story as her main personal statement. For her activities, we started working on her activities and reframed her volunteer work as patient advocacy leadership. We started building more experiences, more work, and real activities around this. The supplemental essays. We connected her future goals to her past experiences. She wanted to study public policy to make healthcare more accessible. And here's the thing, we did not add fluff. No fake awards, no fabricated research, no made up internships. Please understand, admissions officers go through thousands of applications and they can figure it out in less than a minute if it is fabricated. We reorganized the truth and worked more on it. She was trying to be a voice for the voiceless, and that is exactly what top universities are looking for. We built an application so cohesive, so truthful, that it felt inevitable she would get it. She got her dream school. But here is the secret I really want you to hear. I work to get kids to believe in themselves so deeply that their dream for their future becomes inevitable. Kiara's life is different now. Not just because she goes to a top university, but because she walks into rooms, lecture halls, interview rooms, and knows she deserves to be there. The anxiety is gone. The imposter syndrome is gone. She knows exactly who she is, and that is what I do. Provide proof she got into her dream school. Provide trust. I won't change who you are. I'll show you who you are. And I provide the emotional connection. Because college admissions isn't about checking boxes. It's about finding the human being behind the grades, the test scores, and the activity lists. So if you want to start building an application that actually feels like you, let's talk. The link is in the description below. Let's get you from I will never get in to it was inevitable. And I'll see you there. All the best.